In this lesson, I will explain everything about how the Dutch school system is organized. Hallo lieve vrienden. Before I go on, if you like this content, please like this video, and if you want to keep up with all the lessons, please also subscribe. So, the Dutch school system, it starts really early, right? So, from the age of 3, parents can send their child to a preschool, and that is basically where they learn to interact with other children, and so that's really helpful in their future school career. So that is what we call peuterspeelzaal. So peuter is, as you've learned in the previous lesson about the age groups, that is the age group that you are in if you are 3 years old, and then you will go to the peuterspeelzaal, and that is not officially a school yet, but you will basically just play the whole day with other children under the guidance of the leaders. And so these are not teachers, right? These are just they guide the children and the groups. So we have from the age of 5 until 15, we have an obligation by law. Every child in that age group has to go to school by law. That is what we call leerplicht. So leer is learning and plicht is obligation. And from the age of 16 and older, you're not obligated to go to school. So basically that's your own choice. Then when the child reaches the age of 4, then they can go to the first real school. That is like elementary school. In Dutch, that is called basisschool. And that takes 8 years. So the first 2 years are just playing, and that is what we in the old days called kleuterschool. These were just 2 years. And only after these 2 years, when they're in group 3, that is when they start learning to read and write. And it takes all up to the 8th group, right? So the basisschool is 8 years. Then after basisschool, then comes the mid-level school. And that is what we call middelbare school. And that can take up from 4 to 6 years in total, depending on which stream you go into. So there are basically 2 main streams. One is general and the other is professional. So in the general streams, there are also several types, and these are also several levels. It starts with MAVO, so that's an acronym. And I would translate it into English like mid-level general advanced education. In Dutch it is middelbaar algemeen voortgezet onderwijs. So that's where it starts. Then the next level, if you go into the other stream, one level higher, that is HAVO. So only the first letter is different, it's an H, and that means higher. Right? So that stands for Hoger Algemeen Voortgezet Onderwijs. So you can translate it into English as higher level general advanced education. Then the level above that, there is what we call VWO, that's a Dutch acronym, VWO, and that is pre-scientific education. So that is basically pre-university. And so that is an education level that takes 6 years in total. So that's the longest in the mid-level of school. You also have another type, which is gymnasium, in Dutch gymnasium. That's basically the same as VWO, except you get 2 extra courses, that is Greek and Latin. And in some scientific educations, you need that, right? If you go into medicine, then you will need Latin, for instance. And So these are the 4 general streams that you can have at the mid-level. Then you have the professional stream, and that is like an education that is aimed at professional skills, right? So, but that is at the mid-level. So if you start your school career at MAVO and you complete that after 4 years, then you can choose to go 1 level higher to HAVO, right? HAVO in total takes 5 years. And so if you have done already the 4 years of MAVO and you jump into HAVO, then you only have to add 2 extra years of HAVO, and then you have completed HAVO. And if you have completed HAVO, then you can also choose to jump to VWO, so the pre-university. And that one is in total 6 years, but if you come from HAVO, then you have to only add 2 years to your education, and then you're done, and then you are ready for university. But you can also choose, instead of going to university, to go to the higher level education, also called HBO. It's not the television company, but HBO stands for Higher Professional Education, Hoger Beroepsonderwijs. So that's basically the extension of the MBO, right? The mid-level professional education. So that's 4 years. So if you are at that level where you can choose to go to the HBO, you can also choose to go to university if your background is the level of VWO, right? If you've completed that, you can go either way. So after that, we have university. And how does universities work? Well, the first 3 years of university is the bachelor level. So you can reach the bachelor level after 3 years, and then you're bachelor in science, right? And then after that, you can continue with your master, and your master is 1 or more years, depending on which stream you are in. Okay, so this is the entire school system in the Netherlands. So I hope you kept up with all this complicated stuff. So to go back into the elementary school, so there are several educational philosophies that you will find in the Netherlands. So you can choose which type of educational philosophy you feel most inclined to take, right? So that's basically up to the parents. So these are, you can also call them methodologies of teaching. So you have Montessori, you have Dalton, Jena-plan. You also have free school, that is vrije school, and Vrijnet. So these are all philosophies of how you educate the children, right? So my children, they went to a Montessori school, and that is more directed at that the children are responsible for their own planning. So you agree with the children as a teacher what their goals are, their week goals or month goals, and they have their own responsibility of how they plan that. And also, if you are very talented in a certain direction, maybe at calculus, and you're very, very talented at that, and you go really fast into the year, then you have the freedom to go faster and take the lessons from the next level, right? From the next class. So you can speed up your development in that area. So that's also within the Montessori education. So I really like that, and so that's why we chose for that. But mostly, in most cases, parents will just choose the school that is close by, because that's more convenient for them, more efficient for them in the mornings, right? So that's also what's, of course, often done. And also, very interesting to know, is in the general way of teaching kids, the grade system is number 1 to 10, right? So if you really did good, you get a 10. If you really did bad, you get a 1. And so when I was in school, you were always aiming for that 10, right? because then you made a perfect score. Not all educational philosophies choose to work this way. So in Montessori, they choose to grade by a name, like a qualitative name that went from insufficient to good, right? Insufficient was the lowest level, then you get the next level is, so insufficient in Dutch is onvoldoende. The next level is matig, that means mediocre. Next level is voldoende, which is sufficient. Then you get ruim voldoende, that means more than sufficient. Then you get goed, that is good. And the absolute highest was goed plus, so that's good plus. And so some schools, and at least Montessori, chooses for this type of grading. All right, now you know a little bit more about the school system in Dutch. Hope it was valuable to you. If you have something to add or to ask, please leave it below in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next lesson.